if you've purchased a car, call it since the pandemic, new or used,
Okay.
I want you to go and find out a few things to protect yourself for the future. This doesn't really get you any money. It just stops you from having to pay money.
Right.
So there's many people of late that owe too much on their vehicles. And the insurance company only owes so much. And now you're in a problem because they can't total and take the vehicle until they can get the title, and they can't get the title until the loan is paid off. And in order to get the loan paid off, it needs to be paid in full.
Right.
And if they only owe X and you owe this, now you're going to have to come to the table with some unexpected money, and it could be, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. My name is Eric Raymer, and that is Robert Grieve. As always, we are grateful for your time. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us for ours. And, Rob, this is the week after Christmas, so Happy New Year.
It's right around the corner, right? Around the corner.
It's hard to imagine, but here we go again. Another year, which means we are knocking on the door of season 5. Yeah. So, with that being the background, happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you. My dear friends, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're new to the channel, we really do appreciate you if you give us the thumbs up. Grateful. Grateful
Absolutely.
as always. The comments are heartwarming.
Yeah.
Educational as we get people connected with the right people that have a problem or can understand what we're talking about and need something.
Yeah.
We're happy to help out. And it's been a great channel, and it's done what it's supposed to do, which is help people.
That's exactly it. And we're going to help you again today. I learned some stuff in the process of discovery for the information that we're going to share with you today. And so buckle up. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Rob, today we're going to talk about the valuation of your vehicle, particularly in the event of a total loss, and the number one thing that you should probably do and that you can probably do to assist you in the event that you should be the victim of a total loss on your vehicle.
Absolutely. New Year's Day is right around the corner. Happy New Year's to everybody, and 25 is going to be a magnificent year for everybody.
From your lips to his ears.
Amen. It's just going to be. I know it's going to be. But I know you probably already have your New Year resolutions all picked out. And
Do you do New Year's resolutions?
no, I do not.
No, I don't either.
Because I know I'm not going to get there, and why set myself up for failure?
But you can be educated, and that education can alter the course of the direction of your year. So that's the purpose here.
And my request for your New Year's resolution is really very simple. You do it, you get it done, you check it off, and you've got one out of the box already.
Oh, I like this.
So,
all right. Okay.
Nice and easy. If you've purchased a car, call it since the pandemic, new or used,
Okay.
I want you to go and find out a few things to protect yourself for the future. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is find out if you have a loan on the vehicle.
Okay.
I need you to see if you have gap insurance.
Gap insurance.
Gap insurance. Now,
Okay.
we're going to get to that in a second.
All right.
But here's the test to know if you need gap insurance. I want you to go onto any of the sites, Kelley Blue Book, or any of the vehicle evaluation sites.
NADA.
Yep, any of those, and look up what the current value of your vehicle is. And then I want you to go through your filing cabinet or go onto your loan information and see what you owe on that car. Many of the cars sold in the last, I'm going to say 3-4 years,
Yes.
were somewhat overpriced at the time that you bought them. And the loans are long, interest rates were creeping, and you may owe more on that vehicle than it's actually worth, which we call that, underwater or
Yes. Upside down.
upside down. So if you're upside down on the value of your vehicle, meaning you owe to the bank more than it's worth today, if it got totaled, it's important to have that gap insurance.
What does GAP stand for?
Guaranteed Asset Protection.
I like the sound of that.
Yes. Gap insurance protects the borrower if the car is written off or totaled by paying the remaining difference between the actual cash value of a vehicle and the balance still owed to the financing company. Works the same for a lease. So whether you purchased it or you leased it, you need to make sure that you have gap insurance.
Yes.
Now, if you go through and leased it, let's say you bought a new Toyota, you leased it, and you leased it through Toyota Financial. They may already have that baked in, but you need to know it.
Absolutely.
You need to know it. The other thing I want you to make sure is when you're looking at your policy, make sure you have a arbitration clause of some nature. And I'm not talking about just your auto policy, your homeowners, or if you have riders for like a diamond ring or jewelry,
Yeah, sure.
or something along that lines. Make sure you have an arbitration clause, and it's usually called the right to appraisal or the appraisal clause. There is a policy here in Colorado that does not have that for repairable vehicles.
Yeah, a company here in Colorado
Sure.
decided to leave that out, and they've been making moves to remove that from other states as well.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Many of the insurance companies are. So it's important to make sure you have that clause. Texas Watch put out a report, and they're saying that many times the insurance company is $5,000 off
For a repair claim,
the
and
value of the loss
$4,000 for the
for a total
total
loss
loss.
claim. So we're going to be talking in other videos about holes to look out for if your vehicle's been deemed a total loss. But for right now, we want to get you prepared before that happens.
Right.
And I know that you think that you're not going to get into an accident. I think and hope the same thing for myself and all the people that I know. But the fact is, we have 90 cars on the lot, and several, I can't even imagine how many are scheduled to come in that never thought they were going to be in an accident.
Right.
And some of them were their fault, and some of them weren't their fault.
And there's a percentage of those that are total losses,
And there's
or will be.
Yeah. People are driving like nuts. They're not paying attention. They're on their phone, texting or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And the severity of the damage is much worse than it ever has been before, which is causing more total losses to occur more often than before. And I've got a couple of articles to talk about total losses, but I want to get you prepared for before that happens.
All right.
So we've talked about what gap is. Now, what happens if you don't have it and you've already tested the waters to see that, yeah, I owe more than the vehicle's actually worth today, which there is many, many, many people in that position right now. And whether it's your own insurance company or the insurance company of the person that hit you, they only owe actual cash value at the date of loss, on the time of loss.
Right.
And if that's less than what you owe, you're going to have to make up the difference. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
We have a video that I will refer you to that discusses actual cash value and how to manage that, especially if your insurer or the insurer for the person who hit you is undervaluing their process. We're not going to focus on that today, but here's the link to it just in case you want to go take a look at it after this.
Yeah. And so it's important to have that gap insurance today more than ever, because insurers are, if they don't owe it, they're not paying it. It's hard enough to get them to pay what they do owe.
Right.
Sometimes. But the other thing that I asked you to make sure is that you have the appraisal clause in your policy.
Yes.
And again, that is because many times insurers are undervaluing a total loss or a repairable vehicle, and they're not fully indemnifying. And again, I'm going to get into some examples of that in a different video. But if you have the appraisal clause, which basically says, and we have a video for that as well.
We do.
The appraisal clause basically says, if you and us, the insurer, don't agree on the value of the loss, either can hire an independent appraiser. And so in that particular case, if you invoke your appraisal clause because you don't feel like you're being treated fairly,
Yeah.
then you hire an independent appraiser, they hire an independent appraiser, they come together on the value of the loss, whether it's a total or a repairable vehicle. And if they can't, it goes up to an umpire, and the first two that agree on the value becomes a binding decision
Right.
for the insurer and for you.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that you have that in your policy, and God forbid you need to use it, give us a ring and we'll walk you through some of the pitfalls on that.
Absolutely.
So you don't get jammed up on that. But let's just say you've got the appraisal clause, so that's good.
Yes.
Still, the max that's going to get you is
Actual cash
actual
value.
cash value, what it's worth today. Not necessarily what you paid.
That's a big thing. I'm one of those people, Rob, who bought a car during that time period that you're talking about a couple of years ago. And I know that I paid a premium for my car. And,
Most people know that they overpaid a little bit to get it.
well,
And the rates.
you talk
And
about
you get a 7-year loan.
stretching it out over 7 years.
Yeah. And what's the beginning of the loan? You're paying more interest than you are principal, and so
Always.
your principal isn't coming down. Personally, if I have an auto loan, I always put extra money on
I do
every
as well.
payment,
Yes.
just to get that value, in line with what things are worth today.
Right.
But what if you don't have gap insurance?
Are you out of luck?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Most times that will be presented to you when you're purchasing the automobile. And if you have a good F&I department, finance and insurance.
Thank you.
Yeah, the one that's getting the loan for you.
Yeah.
You always want to inquire about gap insurance. But you, at the same time, before you say yes to the loan company, you want to run it past your own auto insurance company, because you can get gap through most personal auto policies as well.
This is one of those things I had no idea about. I thought the only place you could get gap insurance was at the point of origination of the loan that you are purchasing, and it could just be added in, which in some cases you may actually be paying more because of over the time and the insurance or the interest rate and all of that.
Yeah, so you can go to your own company and ask them, which I recommend you doing.
Yeah.
And one thing that I read in here, which was very interesting to me, because I didn't know this, is some of these gap policies may also cover your insurance deductible.
Wow.
And while I've not seen the policy language around that, I would be very curious to understand that a little bit more, because would it only kick in if you're using the gap insurance in the case of a total loss, or would it kick in when you were actually, if you had a loss,
Or
that was repairable?
does it only kick in if you're with a different insurer? Those are questions that
Yeah.
we don't know the answer to, but certainly raises an eyebrow.
Well, if you get hit by somebody else and that insurance company, not your own, deems it a total loss, and they don't pay enough to get the loan paid off at least, if you have gap insurance through your own coverage, then you just open up a gap claim,
Right.
and they'll jump in. But again, this doesn't really get you any money. It just stops you from having to pay money.
Right.
So there's many people of late that owe too much on their vehicles, and the insurance company only owes so much, and now you're in a problem because they can't total and take the vehicle until they can get the title, and they can't get the title until the loan is paid off. And in order to get the loan paid off, it needs to be paid in full.
Right.
And if they only owe X and you owe this, now you're going to have to come to the table with some unexpected money, and it could be, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, and we've seen that.
Yeah.
And with an expensive car, I saw the difference was over $40,000.
Oh, that's not pocket change.
No, I mean, it was an incredibly expensive car, and our guest had paid for it out of an inheritance, just bought the car, but then it became a total loss after a loss, and it was $40,000 difference between
Wow.
what the insurer would pay and that's even using the appraisal clause.
Right.
Then it's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So I want to get you prepared before something happens. And that's the whole point of insurance, right? You're not buying it at the time of loss. You're buying it before the loss.
Right.
And again, many, many times, none of us, expect to be in an accident, but they're happening. And they're happening a lot. And they're very severe in many cases.
Yeah.
So that's what I have for you today.
That could save you so much money. Just pull out your policy. Check whether or not you have it. Make sure you know at the point of purchase. It should be in your document file with all the other things that you signed, whether or not there's a gap policy involved in that. And the good news
Or
is,
be on the financing contract or the leasing contract.
yeah. And the good news is, in many cases, and I say many because I'm not willing to commit to most, and I'm not an expert in this area. But as we've done a little bit of research here, we found that if your vehicle is less than 3 years old and under a certain mileage, and I check your own insurer for that, you may be able to go purchase gap insurance now.
Yeah. And I recommend you do.
Yeah.
I recommend you do. It'll be the best $20 to $40 a year you spend.
A year. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Rob, thank you.
So there you go.
That. Yep.
Happy Saturday to you. Happy New Year to you.
Yes.
My dear friends, Happy New Year to you. I hope you have an amazing week. We'll see you next week. Celebrate big.